such sights to show you.
Esteban is a graduate student at Florida State University, where he majors in environmental sciences. He's been assisting the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission by helping to collect and test water samples as well as to relocate large wildlife when it is required due to lack of manpower or for other reasons. Esteban also spends his time volunteering with local conservation groups to clean up trash in local forests and beaches. In his spare time, Esteban enjoys exploring national parks, hiking, and participating in local trail maintenance days. As a college student, this individual does not have a substantial income. Although he was ecstatic when his sister bought him a kayak from Walmart for Christmas, allowing him to participate in recreational activities and complete data collection duties. Florida is renowned for its natural beauty, so it's easy to see why this kayak has been such an invaluable asset to him. This Sunday was dedicated to data collection for Steve's project. He set out in his 1998 Subaru, wearing a bucket hat, Ray-Bans, and zinc oxide over his nose. Listening to the music corporate entities deemed profitable allowed him to mentally prepare for fieldwork at the bayou. A recent algal bloom has been creating concerns among conservationists. Steve is investigating whether zebra mussels or climatic changes are responsible. It is essential to collect accurate information to properly identify and solve this problem, so everyone can rest assured that it won't resurface. He turns down a dirt road, dense with overlapping tropical foliage, and makes his way to an isolated inlet he was shown by researchers last year. As far as we know, only us and the hunters use this launch site, he recalls. He eventually approaches the end of the road and parks in his usual spot. He parks the car and gets out, taking a moment to size up the area and make sure the area is safe. He double-checks that his boat was securely tied down, grabs his gear, and sets out. Esteban makes sure to stay aware of his surroundings as he travels. He pays close attention to the shoreline, watching for any signs of activity, both man-made and natural. He notices a few seabirds and fish swimming near the edge of the water, but no sign of anything out of the ordinary. As he reaches the part of the beach where he intends to launch his boat, Esteban surveys the area again. He looks for any objects that could be caught in or around his boat, and carefully pushes away any logs and debris that could cause him problems when launching. Once he is certain the launch area is clear, he retrieves his vessel and begins to launch the boat. Esteban takes his time, ensuring that the boat is prepared for an enjoyable and safe day on the water. Being meticulous in his preparedness, he takes count of his vials and tubes. He has 96 empty vials ready for samples among other technical equipment. He packs everything back up, loads his boat and pushes off the shore, casting him out into the beautiful swamp. He smoothly moves through the water with powerful strokes, paying close attention to the subtle variations in the color and clarity of the water. Occasionally he pauses to test the water he found and to place duplicate samples into sealed vials so he can run tests back at the lab. The first challenge was the journey itself, slowly working his boat through the dense marsh vegetation, looking out for alligators and snakes in the murky tea-colored water. He let the craft move slowly into the depths of the shallows, hunting for signs of irregular growth. Constantly hearing the plop of bullfrogs and the caterwauling of birds displeased to see a human in their domain. As he maneuvered along, he began to notice something else as well. The air was alive with the different sounds of fish striking at surface prey, the rising and falling of tides, and the brilliance of the sun's reflection off of the wetland. It was all amazing, the untouched beauty of it all. He felt his soul rise with the great grandeur of the moment, the energy and majesty of a place untouched by human hands. After hours of searching, he discovers a stretch of water that seems perfect for his data collection. He begins by surveying the shoreline and the visible qualities of the body of water. His map indicates this area should be 6 to 12 feet deep, with the shore averaging 3 feet. Perfect for collecting water samples. Next, he prepares his survey gear and collects information about the water, temperature, salinity levels, pH, biological makeup, microscopic organisms, plants, etc. chemical composition, oxygen levels, he will also be measuring physical features such as the turbidity and color of the water. Using an echo sounder, he measures the depths and contours of the stretch of water, recording key data points and ensuring his measurements are accurate. His findings are plotted on a graph. Lastly, he collects water samples using a variety of techniques for submission to the microbiology department of the FFG Corp. He plans to traverse an inlet connecting Joe's Bay to another body of brackish water, Little Madeira Bay, both areas of which have been deemed wildlife conservation areas. Being a researcher gives him access to such locals that hunters and casual boaters do not have. Having collected the needed samples from this area, he follows his GPS down the shoreline to a small break in the foliage. Here's the mouth of the estuary. It was wider than he thought it would be at the time and more turbid.
There must be an accumulation of runoff somewhere higher on the water table.
He makes note of these observations and estimates the depth of the water to be in the 6 to 12 foot range, as opposed to the usual 3 to 6 foot range. Again he takes note and presses up the rivulet. Crossing an old sandbar, he begins to make out Little Madeira Bay in his westerly view, the imposingly tall trees of the forest's temperate coniferous forest, rising from the coastline into misty heights. He takes out his GPS and takes a snapshot before heading back down the estuary. He is startled to find, as he re-emerges into the inlet, a triumvirate of river otters swimming by, their collective playful laughter echoing through the suddenly quiet inlet. He smiles, glad he took this route, as opposed to the more heavily trafficked eastern entrance of the neighboring Madeira Bay.
The playboys of the bayou.
The locals call the otters. A rare treat to observe on any day, let alone traversing in a family group like that. Lucky me, he thinks as he pushes further into the inlet. His keen eye picks up something unnatural. A few straight lines which shouldn't occur in nature. He paddles close to a tree to find wire looped around it trailing into the dark water.
Poachers.
Gator season is open.
Why would someone need to hunt on protected land?
All he can do at this point is take pictures and disassemble the trap. He pulls upside the tree and cautiously lifts the wire from the water. After retrieving about 10 feet of line, he comes to the catch hook. A heavy gauge treble hook is pulled from the water with a chunk of what looks to be rotten chicken still attached to it. He records this finding and throws the scrap in the water. He snips and secures the hook and proceeds to disassemble the rest of the snare, using the wire snippers on his Leatherman to make quick work of the illegal setup. He packs it all up and continues on his way. The estuary opens up into a vast wetland, higher than usual for this time of year but not unexpected based on previous observations. Checking the GPS again shows him still in the same spot he was in about 20 minutes ago.
Great. What a time to lose signal.
He refreshes the app several times and finally gets a no connection warning. He considers paddling back ways to get his bearings. But if he does, there's a good chance it will be dark by the time he's returning to his car. And he's not planned or interested in an excursion in the unlit swamplands. Recounting the map, he thinks he can't be more than a kilometer from the bay, and decides to continue his trek.